Yesterday, we debuted our big board for offensive tackles for the Minnesota Fighting Vikings. And again, big board specifically for the team. So this is certainly not going to mesh up with some generalized league-wide sort of team agnostic big board. So specifically for the Vikings, and we're going to do the same today with this historically deep wide receiver class. Now, when we say that, I don't think it's necessarily hyperbole. Now, there's been some great recent wide receiver classes, don't get me wrong. But this one, man, if you're getting to 20 and you're still not even putting in AGG, man, that's a little rough. But we'll get into our top 10. We'll break those down as well as go through 11 through 20, just like there we go. So the Vikings, they can certainly go wide receiver early, 22-25. But if there was a position where the Vikings could let it slide to round 2, round 3, wide receiver is certainly it. So I wouldn't mind if the Vikings, frankly, waited till second round, third round, and then started double dipping on some of these wide receivers. They're amazing there. So number 1, 3 guys we're probably not going to get. So numero uno, JEUDY Jr. from Alabama. For me, he is clearly slightly above CeeDee Lamb. I put him above his teammate Henry Ruggs III as well. But JEUDY, 6'1", $193, 77 catches, 1,163 yards, 10 touchdowns in 2019 to his go-to guy for a number of years. Just amazing game speed, elite at getting separation, just easy, phenomenal hands, catches away from the body, just really looks natural out there operating, and also just gets after it after the catch. He really is a phenomenal player. Can play inside, outside. He showed last year what he can do in the slot, dangerous, but he's also no slouch outside the numbers. He really is a complete player. If he falls out of the top 10, I would not be upset at all if the Vikings went up and got him. I would prefer him as like a 1A over a 1B CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb would be number 2. Junior from Oklahoma, 6'2", $198, 62 catches, 1,325 yards, 14 touchdowns in 2019. So that's amazing yards per catch rate. Just great. Also, he made 2 Heisman Trophy winners as well as a Heisman Trophy runner-up last year, and Jalen Hurts looked good, so he's got that going for him. Absolute technician off the line, just a beast in the open field, plays a lot larger than his 198 pounds. Great get at separation without having elite top-end speed or quickness. Sort of like the inverse of a DENZEL MIMS. We'll get to him in a sec, where I think that it is the speed and agility that does set JEUDY apart from CeeDee Lamb. I forgot who said it. I think it might have been Gil Brandt who compared CeeDee Lamb to Dez Bryant. I think that's dead on. I think that's 100% dead on. And frankly, if he falls out of the top 10, JEUDY's off the board, I wouldn't be that upset if they went up and got CeeDee Lamb. There you go. So number 3, Henry Ruggs III, fitting, junior from Alabama. 5'11", $188, 40 catches, 744 yards, 7 touchdowns in 2019. Just elite, amazing speed for days, world class. You saw it at the combine. Runs more of a full route tree than you would expect. So he is not a John Ross. He is not a Darius Hayward-Bay. He is a legit wide receiver threat. He is the closest facsimile to TYRIE Hill in this draft, and does run physical and fearless for a guy his size, which may get him in trouble durability in the National Football League, but is really good at underneath, but also the bomb is going to be his go-to. Like, that is going to be his highlight reel material, where he is amazing at tracking deep balls. He certainly is no Troy Williamson in that respect. Also, massive hands for a dude his size, like surprisingly big hands. I think his hands are bigger than JEUDY and Lamb's too. But also, where to get him? Like, if he falls out of the top 15, if he gets by Denver at 15, I would be in the market to go up and get him if Lamb and JEUDY are indeed off the board. Number 4. So this is where we start departing from the normal big board. So Jalen REAGOR, junior from TCU. I freaking love this kid. 5'11", 206, 71 catches, 1,040 yards, 9 touchdowns in 2018, so 2 years ago. Stats were down in 2019 because his quarterback was trash. It's not dissimilar from Stephon Diggs when he came out in 2015 and he fell to the 5th round, right? So I adore this kid. Just phenomenal top-end speed and agility. Never any wasted motion in his routes, sort of like the opposite of DENZEL MIMS. Just fearless, stout, will take contact, will go over the middle. Great at getting off press, despite not being the biggest receiver in the world, and just will go up and fight for contested balls, something that I love in a receiver. Just a hard, tough alpha who would absolutely thrive outside the numbers here for the Vikings. That if he's there at 22, absolutely take him. If you say Josh Jones there at 22, you go 25. I mean, that's Christmas. That's Christmas in April, baby. Wide receiver 5. T. Higgins, junior from Clemson. A lot of people have him as wide receiver 4. I ain't mad at you. 6'4", 205. 59 catches, 1,167 yards, 13 touchdowns. Just an amazing catch radius. Dude is a freaking condor out there. He's Giannis Adetokounmpo. Contested catch machine, great hands. He is a height, weight, speed specimen. Will probably be the number one receiver in most classes, but I mean, this is just a very unique situation and speaks to how deep this wide receiver group is. Can get off a press, no problem. But the question is, how much of it was Trevor Lawrence? But in fairness, how much of JEUDY and Ruggs was Tua? How much of CeeDee Lamb was Baker and Kyler and Jalen Hurts, right? So that's fair. But I think he is a much safer pick than DENZEL MIMS, even though he's in that same height, weight, speed, freak category. I think he's just a tall start at the X receiver spot stud for week 1. 22 or 25, I would not be upset at either pick. Number 6, here we go, another departure. Tyler frickin' Johnson, senior, Minnesota. Now, this is not homerism. I do not care that he was a gopher. I do not care that he was the pride of Minneapolis North High School. Go Polars, right? But just in terms of dudes who are getting slept on, completely disrespected, like we talked about in a video last week. I mean, this is a guy where how can you just overlook what he's done? I mean, 6'2", 200, 87 catches, 1,317 yards, 13 touchdowns. PFF's number 1 wide receiver in 2019. The best route runner in the class, bar none, and just an absolute junkyard dog. Will fight you for every single contested catch. Will be a red zone short yardage asset. You know, again, one of the reasons he's falling is that he's not a straight line burner. He's not, but he is quick and heady enough to get separation. And frankly, I think he is the most NFL wide receiver in the class outside of JEUDY and Lamb. And yeah, REAGOR to a degree, Ruggs as well. And I would take him at 58 and not be upset. Like, I fully understand the prognosticators. Well, oh, he's going to be a 3rd or 4th round pick. I mean, if he's there at 58, just get your guy, right? I will fall to potentially to late day 2, early day 3 because of those speed concerns, because he didn't run the combine, because he hasn't had a formal pro day. So there will be concerns there. But, I mean, just, I love this kid. 7, so DENZEL MIMS, senior from Baylor, 6'3", 206, 66 catches, nailed it, 1,015 yards, 12 touchdowns in 2019. And he is a Vikings fan also, so respect there. And he is one of these combine freak type dudes, but there's a couple of issues here. So yes, watched every single rep of his at Senior Bowl. Great, awesome, respect there. But I also, since he's been tied to the Vikings so much lately, and also since I have no social life, I went back and watched every single snap of his in 2019, which, you know, there are concerns that he'll be able to, that what he was able to win with in the Big 12, just getting by in sheer athleticism, it's not going to work in the NFL. Right, we're up against top-tier meat-eating cornerbacks, right? And he does need to work on refining his skill in route running. And yeah, remember, Senior Bowl, yes, it is against top-end college talent, but you're coming in cold. I mean, it just matchup. NFL, you have stone-cold freaking killer assassins with dossiers and notes on your tendencies and your tells, and a full week of game planning. So it's going to be a little bit different there. And yes, also the hands are super worrisome, but he is an amazing physical freak, high ceiling, but also an extremely low floor. I mean, he is a little bit of Mekhi Becton to a degree. Like you are taking your chances here. Like I do get some legit Rashad Perriman vibes when he was with the Ravens. You know, not so much when he was with the Bucks, but man, if they give him at 22-25, I get it, cool with it. I'm betting on the upside for sure, but it is a gamble. It is certainly a roll of the dice. Number 8. So, again, a bit of a departure, a little bit lower in the list than the norm. Justin Jefferson, Jr. out of LSU, 6'1", 202, 111 catches, 1,540 yards receiving, 18 touchdowns, was just friggin' phenomenal. A big part of their national title run, but again, how much of it was the quarterback, how much of it was Joe Brady in the system, etc. But the big reason why I have him down specifically for the Vikings is he's strictly a slot receiver. Now, if this is the Eagles and they're trying to replace Nelson Aguilar, or actually get something for Nelson Aguilar, he would be wide receiver probably 4 or 5 for me, but specifically for the Vikings, and specifically because as Thielen gets older, he's going to work more and more exclusively from the slot, a la what happened to Larry Fitzgerald. And can Jefferson win on the outside? I do have my doubts. He didn't do it in 2018 when he was primarily an outside receiver, but it is great at contested catches. Is he physical enough to get off press in the NFL? That's TBD. But you know, frankly, if he's there at 58, which is probably extremely unlikely. But, I mean, sure. But also, if the Vikings go with Jefferson at 20, 225. I mean, I would much prefer a Higgins or a REAGOR or a MIMS at 22 or 25. Number 9, so fun little joystick player, Brandon AIYUK from senior from Arizona State, was a JUCO transfer, a bit of a one-year wonder, but what can you do there? 6 foot 205, and did work for Herm Edwards, Marvin Lewis, and company down in Arizona State. Yeah, also don't sleep on the Zimmer Marvin Lewis connection. Give you the inside dirt on this kid. 65 catches, 1,192 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns in 2019. Every single catch is a freaking punt return. It is a jailbreak. It is whatever. He's extremely explosive in the open field. Every play can be housed, which is the really fun thing about him. Best punt return in the class, so you get extra value there, and can go full speed in and out of breaks. He's kind of like an elite IndyCar driver just taking turns. Like, it really is something that it really is natural skill, like something that cannot be taught or coached, right? If he's there at 58, say the Vikings go offensive tackle, cornerback early, say they get, Josh Jones and Jeff Gladney, 22-25, then they circle around, get AIYUK at 58. Ooh. Got a stew going, baby. Number 10, speaking of like fun overall players, so LAVISKA SHENAULT, junior from Colorado. Now, 6'1", 227. He is not your standard wide receiver. He is the Cordero Patterson, Percy Harvin of this draft. He is a bit of a running back wide receiver hybrid, but 87 catches, 1,019 yards, 6 touchdowns in 2018. He is my freaking guy, but you do have to be very worried about the health because a lot of injuries piled up, especially his style. I mean, is it going to be conducive for a long-term NFL career? TBD. I don't put a lot of stock in his 40 at the combine. Ran a 4.58, which is extremely slow. Was recovering from a groin injury. So if you look at his game speed, he is more in like the 4.4s. But also the suddenness and explosiveness is absolutely off the charts. Does need some refinement running routes, but I would bet on his potential more than, say, a Cordero Patterson was coming in. But just in terms of an open field, breaking tackles, machine, special teamer, just amazing. Now 25 seems a little bit high. I mean, could be there at 58. And same thing like we said with AIYUK, it applies with SHENAULT in terms of draft position as well. And then just speaking of how deep this friggin' draft is. So got PITTMAN Jr. At 11, like the big-bodied receiver from USC. KJ Hill, who, yeah, all the reasons that we knocked Justin Jefferson, you should knock KJ Hill as well. But in terms of just if you want the underneath blanket, the Cooper Cup of this draft, it is KJ Hill. KJ HAMLER from Penn State. If you just want the streaky, straight-line speed guy with questionable hands at times, he is your man. Or if Henry Ruggs III is Tyreek Hill, KJ HAMLER is Mecole Hardman, if that makes sense. 14, the physical freak Chase Claypool. It's a bit like MIMS, where you're betting on the upside, but you do have your doubts. 15, I really love James Proche. Now, he's not a height, weight, speed specimen guy, but he just gets after it. He is dogged. He is determined and will fight for every single underneath route and catch. He's just phenomenal. 16, I got John Hightower, who's a great returner, Boise State. He's a burner as well. 17, DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan. Never quite panned out on his massive recruiting rating, but just also betting on physical traits. DPJ could be in that mix. 18, Bryan Edwards from South Carolina. Again, not going to be one of those speed or agility guys, but just a dude who can get it done on the outside. I love him. 19, Lynn Bowden Jr. from Kentucky, just a really fun player as well. And 20, Devin DUVERNAY, who you're getting to 20, and then you get to Devin DUVERNAY, who's a bit of a running back underneath, just a stout built dude, a little bit like JALEN REAGOR coming out of Texas. It's a lot of fun. And also, I mean, you got the top 20, didn't even get to AGG, didn't get to Antonio Gibson, didn't get to Van Jefferson. That is how stupid deep this wide receiver class is. It's just insane. It almost is akin to 2015 when Diggs was the 20th wide receiver taken. It's going to be one of those classes. But your thoughts on a ranking, again, specifically for the Vikings, let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for the daily Vikings takes. If you want to support the work, pull us on the Venmo. Please give us a follow on social media as well. Until next time, Skol, production value.